for any etie for Ghanatube so and now we need a go so Mushe now number one channel and news eta from our mining we the Ebremo and some I call any about mining we be just say election ya be ku be episode until we be amount in Ghanatube and a some Eddie Ebremo na nsem bu ho na se beto ho na emu edu e de my internet that's your call I tie and some I call
give me the list of the Black West Committee. Yeah, thank you. So the person said, it's here. And he said that, please, I've seen this on social media, but I still want you to read it on Good Evening Ghana. It has been used by some stations already. He said, okay, it's an MPP thing. They talk about, I say, okay, let's go through the leaders of the committee. Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, the same man who was prosecuted by Martin Amidu for Isofoten corruption for $1 million, the chairman of the committee. That's what he says. Then he comes to, he continues with Martin Pegbu. He says, Martin Pegbu, Paul, you yourself have said on TV and quoted the High Court ruling where Martin Pegbu was found for stealing somebody's book, intellectual property. That's what it says about Martin Pegbu. Then he says, Raymond Archer, the man who bought state land at trade fair for 100 cedis. 100 cedis? And put his private company on it and was making business. Oh, I know that story. I interviewed Raymond on Good Evening Ghana. Did he buy it for 100 cedis? I don't know what arrangement he had, but yes, he had his company at trade fair. McDan and the trade fair people went to break it. He came on Good Evening Ghana. We had an interview. But the person says, a man who bought government land for, well, it is government land. His company was there, but I don't think that he bought it for 100 cedis. I don't know. Okay. And then he goes on to say, Kofi Boache, Paul, again, were you not one of the journalists who covered the Georgian Wood Committee where Kofi Boache was questioned for his alleged involvement in drug dealing? And following that, the police service actually suspended him and changed his position from director of operations to head of education, the little education unit near the license office. That's where his office was. And he was suspended for 1 year before he came back to that one. I covered the Georgian Wood. Yeah, it's true. I covered the Georgian Wood. Some of you are young, you don't know, but there was a Georgian Wood committee set up in 2007 or 6, I think, about this MV Benjamin cocaine scandal. I mean, in those days, I used to talk to Raymond Archer quite a bit because he knew about the scandal. I used to talk to him quite a bit about that. Okay, so, and then who else? He said, finally, Domilevo, who had a moral deficiency for accepting an appointment from a president who had lost election, and then proceeded to forge his age and was exited from the government by being alleged to have forged his age. Are these the people who are going to follow corruption and chase it for President Mahama? God help Ghana, he says. I'm not sure whether all of those things are correct. But anyway, so that's the conversation. So this committee don't have legal legitimacy. They don't. So they are going to, if I know of corruption, I call one of them, Kofi Boache, whom I know. Whose number do I have here? I think it's only Kofi Boache. Maybe Raymond Archer, yeah. So I called them and I said, I want to come before your committee. I said, hey, good morning. How are you? Please, my name is Paul Adumonch. I know that the former minister of this, he has a house at Adenta. And when you go into that house, I went for a party there. He has a swimming pool behind the house. And under the swimming pool, he has money there. You have to go and collect it. I don't know where he got the money from, but I'm sure that he has stolen it. I'm sure it's. So you have to go and collect it. Then they write it down. They write the name of the person. And then that's it. Then I leave. Then they'll ask me that what is the basis? Do you have this? I come. I said that I know somebody who works at ECG. And he told me that when they were importing the meters, the board chairman, he brought his own company. It is for him. And that company is the one that imported. Hey, what's the name of the company? The name of the company is Nyamele Oke Enterprise. Okay, good. Nyamele Oke Enterprise. Who is the owner? It's for the board chairman of ECG. He's the one who owns that company. I know, pa. Do you know how I know? Because his driver came there and I took the checkbook and I looked and his name was in it. The Nyamele Oke Enterprise, his name was there. It's for the board chairman. Okay, they collect the information. Then another person comes says this. So President Mahama is saying that they are going to collect all that information. They will gather it as evidence and then hand it over to Iyoko, a special prosecutor, the Attorney General's department. All of those are legitimate state institutions that can then go to Registrar General. In fact, this committee cannot write to Registrar General. They don't have a locus to write anything to registrar. They can't write to anybody. They can't write to GRA. They can't do anything. So when President Mahama is inaugurated, as he says, this committee will now gather the evidence. Now, this is how serious it is. If President Mahama becomes, when President Mahama becomes president on 7th January, and he wants to set up a committee like this, under the constitution, the president of Ghana is allowed to set up commissions of inquiry and committees of inquiry. That process goes through parliament. So the president will write to parliament and say that I'm setting up a commission of inquiry. I like it to go through parliament. I'm setting up the commission for this purpose. There will be a set terms of reference. There will be everything in there. It's not a wide set of reference that if you know that somebody has stolen, come and tell us. No. When it goes to parliament, they will have a terms of reference. And then the president will make proposal of the names of people who should go on that committee. Any Ghanaian can challenge any of those names. So when the president is in opposition, he can just set up this, is fine. But when he becomes president, he can't set up committee of inquiry, commission of inquiry without the laid down due process. Now, what's a commission of inquiry? That's what they set up. I also West Wogon. You remember that? The one who went to Emil Short and some people, set up by the president through parliament, approved by parliament. The other one, National Truth and Reconciliation Committee, set up by Kufuor way back. Some of you may be too young to remember. It went through parliament. So presidents of Ghana, their role is outlined in the 1992 Constitution. When they want to set up a committee or a commission of inquiry, and lawyers know that there's a difference between a committee of inquiry and a commission of inquiry, go and ask B.A.J. Darocha, he will tell you. There's a major world of difference between commission of inquiry and committee of inquiry. It came up in the 1969 Constitution and all of that. So lawyers know that. So presidents cannot just set up committee. Now, when he sets up the committee, pursuant to the provisions on the laid down rules, any Ghanaian can say, but Mr. President, if you are setting up a committee for corruption, why is this man on it? And that challenge to that committee of inquiry would be entertained because he's Ghanaian. And the president, in setting up a commission of inquiry, is doing that in exercise of the powers conferred on him by the Constitution, which powers are conferred on him by the social contract, which powers are conferred on him by the citizens of Ghana through the ballot box. Therefore, he cannot set up a committee outside the laid down rules of procedure. He would have to do that. This committee can be set up anyhow he wants. But once he's president and he says, I want to set up a committee of inquiry, commission of inquiry, he has to do it according to the rules. And Ghanaians can challenge the people that he puts on it, because he's setting up the committee pursuant to an authority that is drawn from the ballot box, from the will of the people of Ghana. I think we are done on that. In some quarters, criticism in other quarters relating to what has happened. It looks like it's a lawless state. The police are not in charge. They cannot do it. Everybody is talking about different things. We know that there are two important police administrative heads who were not in town for the election. The head of operations, the director of police operations, the COP in charge of police operations was on leave. And I think it was thought to be a compassionate leave. He was on leave at the time of the election, the COP in charge of operations. And then the COP in charge of administration was also not in town. Just before the elections, one police officer called me and said, look, there's going to be a problem in Ghana. I said, why? This was on the 4th of December. He said, how many days to election? I said, but officer, you should know it's 3 days to the election. He said, ask yourself, where is the director of operations? I said, who is the director of operations? He mentioned his name. He said, he's not in town. He's taking a leave. And I got a bit confused. I said, okay, I'll check. Then he said, the director of administration too is not there. I said, I don't understand. He said, well, that's what I'm telling you. Then I called other police officers I know, and they all said that, yes, the police top hierarchy had expressed disquiet about this absence of these two important people. But anyway, too close to election. No, everybody was busy. You can't get anyone. And then we went into the election. After that, the violence is occurring, and people are saying that because the COP in charge of operations was not at post, and the police service probably did not announce a proper replacement for him so that the control and command at the operations area is settled. Apparently, that has had a problem with it. But Ekufu Dampare is here for another reason. There's been, where's the document? Yeah, it's here now. Okay. So this is something that we picked up on social media. It says, Mr. Outgoing Police Officer, the last Sunday, you gave money to a popular prophet in Dome to secure his 31st December Omofia prophecy so that the incoming president will retain you in your current position. The money you gave in dollars and pounds was stolen by the church boys. The prophet reported the theft to you, and you sent policemen to arrest all the church staff. Papa Odifo, if you knew what was coming, you wouldn't want to make the case worse. Times are happening. Times are happening. We don't know whether it is a reference to Dr. Dampare, but that is the allegation that is within the context of this one. So that's why I put Dr. Dampare's photograph there. He says he gave money to a popular prophet in Dome. So you cast your mind, Dome, the prophet is there, he's called. I don't know. He gave money to a popular prophet in Dome, so that this 31st, which is it next week, the week after, next Tuesday, something like that, Wednesday's week, next Wednesday coming week. So he said he gave the money to the prophet so that on 31st December, that prophet, in doing the 31st December prophecy, will create a prophecy such that the president-elect will know that the Dampare should remain. According to the whistleblower, he said Dampare gave he didn't say Dampare. He said the said police officer gave money in dollars and pounds to the pastor, and apparently the money was stolen. Is that story familiar? Money was stolen. The money was stolen by some people. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on this story. We have already sent our feelers out for people to tell us what is happening inside. So we keep our eye on that story. It's coming very, very soon.
For her and Namra requiring me see was some eye so any the airpa Ghana. How much said there any kind I will a video so I subscribe now was share at the Amamia ha a Ghanatube. So me a maintenance in same way. A demon chair me I don't know at the every mommy show and not your friend is here dear Macron.